Hello and welcome to Bleeding Tree Gaming. My name's Amy, aka Warpfiend, and today I am joined by...
Hi, I'm Luke, aka SirMime.
And today we're talking about all the new goodness from Age of Sigmar 4.0. Starting, of course, with this boy.
Oh, like
He is so adorable. There's just something about the way he's just kind of peering through that little crooked telescope. It's such a
I
cute
love
look. And the little rat on his shoulder. Yeah, fantastic.
He's got like a little rat tied onto his staff as well, hasn't he?
Does he? Where
I
am I
just noticed
looking?
that. Is that a rat that's like on
Oh,
there?
on the top. Oh, that's
Is it a skull?
it's a gun, so it's like a kind of rat-shaped barrel, I think.
Oh yeah.
I think.
It's gonna look like a rat that's just tied there like that.
Yeah, it could be. I want to see that from more angles now. I don't think they show us. No, they don't show us anything else. So yeah, this is a super cool model.
I honestly wasn't
really like the
expecting them
war
to show
scroll.
us. I wasn't expecting to show a character off so soon. I was like fully prepared we're just gonna get some of a unit or something, but
Yeah, and it's like a cool character. Like I've heard a couple of people say that he's not either a warlock or an engineer.
yeah.
Unlike some of the previous ones. I don't know if there's going to be...
There might be something in the rules for like the actual war machines that say something that if he's near them, you don't know. You don't know.
It's not on the war scrolls we've seen so far, but maybe there's that or there's another option for it. Who knows? It would be a shame if there was nothing kind of that tends to all those crazy machines. So obviously he has like the Warplock musket,
Which,
and
for an addition, they're saying that's trying to cut down on range weapons. That's a very powerful range weapon.
Yeah, I definitely get the feeling 24 inches is going to be like fairly much the high end of range. Like maybe some big artillery pieces will have a bit longer of a range, but yeah, if 24 inches is good shooting range, yeah, I'm good with that. That's fine. And it's pretty powerful, like Ren 2 damage D3, but you can use the more warp energy one to get 3 for the rest of the turn.
That's crazy, though. I mean, there's a good chance, all out attack, you can make him hit on 2s if you want to use it there. Like, it's crazy that you could just do 6 damage to a hero and just kill off a small hero.
Yeah, it really gives you the feeling of like a crackshot sniper, especially when combined with the second ability.
Yes, yeah.
Where you can pick out a visible enemy hero to just basically ignore the guarded hero rule that's basically look out, sir. So, and that affects friendly Warplock Giselles that are within 13 inches as well.
Which again, that's going to be interesting to see their profile in relation to his shooting profile.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to seeing those models.
Oh, it's going to be beautiful. I've been tempted to get Warlock Giselles for a while, but definitely wait until I see some lovely new sculpts now.
Yes, that would be wise. So yeah, that's there's a little more talk there about the kind of guarded heroes, which it is basically just look out, sir. So
oh, and he has an interesting critical auto wound ability on his gun, which is another one of the abilities that trickled in to show us about them. So basically any 6s to hit auto wound.
Nice.
I mean, it's not going to happen all the time, but anything that bypasses another dice roll is always good.
Yeah. I mean, he's got all sorts of stuff going on there that just seem to like really kind of characterfully get across like his character. You know what I mean?
I say he's going to go down like a sack of spuds if you actually get anything on him, but because that's save 5 and everything, he's not really going to survive too much hitting him back. But, he definitely wants to be at that full 24-inch range away from someone.
Yes. Just keep like cautiously scurrying around the back of the board. and he'll do nicely.
As any good rat wants to be.
Right, so if we move on to the next one, next off on Wednesday, they showed us about battle packs and battle plans.
There was an awful lot of information in this one, like compared to what we've been given today, which we'll touch on in a moment.
So there was a whole lot about previous battle plans coming back, like the favoured ones from previous editions that had been voted on by like kind of tournament organisers and all that. They showed off a few of them. Like obviously you've got Stake a Claim. I noticed a lot of ones with the like deployment zones like right up next to each other.
Yeah, everyone they've shown so far seems to have this. Like,
yeah, there doesn't seem to be any like no man's land between them, which could be interesting.
Which, interestingly, as well, when we get down later on, where you'd normally have in the General's Handbook about the setup, none of them seem to say anything about the deployment.
Yeah. So maybe something that they're saving for a different one, and it's going to work differently to imagine. Maybe it's like you can go like 9 inches away from the thing, but then in this one it particularly says that like rival warriors cannot help but come into contact, so that would have you imagine that they are literally touching.
And actually, to be fair, that does go into something else that they mention in the Battle Tactics article later as well, which we'll get around to that.
yes
But it's interesting. I like this idea of like First Blood battle packs in the actual core book. They're just 4-round battles instead of 5.
So in effect, they've said like, it's continued here, but the General's Handbook, the first one, is literally in the starter rules.
It's nice. It's nice.
Yep. And then that module will then be replaced with their modular kind of game design thing.
And I think they have mentioned that it's just going to be annual now, the General's Handbooks.
Yes, yeah, which would be probably the best way of doing it, definitely. I think every 6 months was a bit too optimistic, to be honest. People just want to be able to play the game.
Changes that need to be done with some...
Yes, yeah. So yeah, I love that one. I hadn't played that from wherever that was before, but the idea of the victory points converging is
Yes, that sounds really good fun. I played that one a couple of times. It was back in like the monster heavy General's Handbook.
Right.
But we also get examples of these underdog twists that they keep on talking about to kind of make the games a little more.
Yes.
give the losing player a little bit more of an edge throughout, just so it doesn't always feel like they're on the back foot.
This I like the idea of this because the first place I saw Games Workshop do it was in Warcry, where you kind of pick the battle plan, the terrain, and the twist as like separate cards. And yeah, just having that as kind of a built-in thing in the battle plan for working out, the player that's least powerful. I assume underdog. It didn't fully specify, but it's. I
think they do mention at one point it does say something about them having like less victory points on there.
The player with fewer victory points at the start of the round is the underdog. Okay, so that's a bit easier to access than I'd realised.
This Stake a Claim one sounds quite interesting though. It's just they can pick an objective and it's no longer controlled by either player and can't be controlled this battle round.
Yeah, that could really mess with some people's like secondary objectives and battle tactics and that.
So take away like one of the ones they've got in their own territory that they were just relying on for easy points is quite nice. But yeah, what else have we got on this article? Go down.
Let's have a look. We've got this table with Border War, which says this one's from 2016.
Yes, there's a bit before I started.
I think I was occasionally playing it back then. I had like 1 or 2 games in that edition.
But a lot of the twists on them say as well about like capping the actual objective points that you can score to 6 per turn.
Yeah.
I think they even mention later on in the article today that they want to make it so you can only score 10 maximum per turn.
Yes.
Apparently, it's to make it easier for event organisers.
Yeah, that would make it a lot easier if there's like a maximum of like 50 points per battle. Although I believe one of these said it was only 4 turns. I can't remember which one it was.
Oh, it's the first part of it mentions about these First Blood battle packs. They're only 4 turns instead of 5.
Oh, yes.
There's 3 of them within the core book, and then everything else is things within the General's Handbook that's apparently included in the launch box.
Right. Okay, yes. So, yeah, Border War again. Troops right next to each other. 4 victory points to start. But this one is basically sans. Well, it's got a twist there, but
I thought the twist was actually like, it's still good, but when you read it and then realise that it's only for 1 objective,
yes,
that it really applies to.
Yes,
but it's still quite nice getting +1 to hit for everything, though.
In this one particularly, though, like it's scored by controlling the objective wholly within friendly territory, within our enemy territory, and all that. So yeah, it is kind of controlling what the other player can score at the end of the round.
Yeah. So you've got more chance of getting that 5 victory points, one for making a charge and getting +1 to hit.
Yeah.
And then, 4 victory points on every one of these battle plans now for secondaries.
Yeah.
Your battle tactics.
Okay, we also have Device, which is another one with kind of like...
Now this one's really good fun. Like, it starts off with 4 in the corners, and then as the battle goes on.
Sorry, I think I mixed this up. I said this one was the one that converges. Yes, that's... no, it was this one that does that. Sorry, my mistake. I wasn't paying attention.
And the other thing we get on this example is a wonderful how to set up your terrain for playing it.
Now, this is handy. Like, I don't know how strictly people will follow to those, but actually having some kind of guidance for it is just a handy thing to have.
I think they have potentially mentioned that there might be some article either next week or the week after, like, going on about terrain features, but it mentions something about that. So this is just a really good fun one, though, because you start off like the furthest corners of the map, and then by the end of the battle it's just a massive slugfest to try and take the center.
Yes, that's gonna be some epic confrontations in that. While we're on the terrain, I really like the kind of like layout of it here. So you have the area terrain, you have the obstacles, obscuring terrain, and places of power. And they've all got like terrain abilities. You can see like cover, unstable, obscuring, and place of power. And so long as those are done simply, so you're not just constantly having to check back to the war scroll for like, oh god, what's that terrain's rule or whatever. Yeah, so long as it's done simply, it's nice to have some rules there.
So I think later on they do actually mention that all of these from the General's Handbook are actually going to be on cards this time as well. So hopefully there's just going to be a card with the...
Yeah. Oh, you've just cut out again.
Oh, sorry.
You're back.
Hopefully there will be like a card with the terrain rules on them.
Yes, that would be handy. Like, it would be nice to keep everything arranged with cards. Hopefully cards that will stay valid for as long a period of time as possible. No one likes having to buy a new set of cards every 6 months.
Not the dreaded online updates.
Yes.
No, I say it's always good to actually keep things updated nowadays, but there is always like quite, the twitch in my eye when my cards are no longer the most up to date.
Yeah. Me and Tammy discussed on previous episodes about how this really, like, the Space Marine cards that came out with the launch of 10th edition 40k were the shortest shelf life possible. Everyone knew the Space Marines were getting the Codex first. It just didn't make sense.
The interesting little bit they've got underneath the Vice, though, is they mention player place terrain still rules for.
Yes.
Hopefully that means faction terrain. I think they do mention at the end of the battle tactics article something about there'll be an article soon about terrain features like that.
Yeah, that would be interesting to get more info on how it's being done in this one.
So another thing people have been saying is like, our faction terrain piece is still going to be a thing in 4th, and I hope they are still there. I hope they're still free to take, really, but on top of that, I also hope that everyone's faction terrain actually has equal benefits to that faction, because some are incredibly good and then others are terrible.
Yeah. Well, we've also got the kind of season rules here, and like the initial season is going to be kicking off with this honor guard thing.
Sounds interesting.
I think it's just showcasing the new kind of like regiments that generals take around with them in this edition. So yeah, these are chosen during the deployment phase, and it's basically it says one of the following abilities. Like, I assume they're not giving us the other two.
They only give one example here, don't they?
And this is subtract 1 from attacks of enemies attacking in melee.
Which is good. It's good. Again, there's a couple of different things you've got to put in place for that to work as well, though. It's like, subtract 1 from the thing that is attacking a general. The honor guard have got to be wholly within 6 of the general, and the honor guard can't have charged.
Yeah, it's another thing where it's like a lot of hoops to jump through.
Which again, like saying wholly within 6, you're only going to really realistically be able to do that on like a very elite or other hero character.
Yeah, and it's going to be hard if, like, I don't know, you have your general charging up the field and your units are foot slogging afterwards.
You've basically just got this elite unit following your general, not being able to do anything themselves.
Yes.
Yeah, it's nice. Like, I wonder what the other 2 things are going to be. It's interesting that you can choose it during deployment, that you don't have to build it into your list beforehand.
Yeah, and these don't seem to be ones that cost like command points or anything like that. It's just like a kind of basic rule for the new edition that you can choose from.
I mean, like,
which are always good.
With the General's Handbook in this edition, it's generally you get like a new detachment or something that's special to that season. At the minute, you've got like the Wizard Hunters, and you've got the Acolytes one, where you can have like wizards in there to get extra primal dice. But this one seems like it's a lot more just baked into the regular way you'd build the army.
Yep. So yeah, those are some of the battle packs that we've seen. Let's have a look at today's one, and this was a fairly short article.
Yeah, there's a lot of like just going over things I've mentioned before. I think in this one, like, it's very much like after you've seen that the secondaries net you 4 victory points, and the thing that they were going on about the double turn. I mean, at least you see more like why the double turn isn't always going to be worth taking.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as everything else is, Tactical Gambit is now an ability in its own little box like this, and that is basically the ability to pick a battle tactic, and you can't use that if you took the double turn.
Yeah. Which again, like with the modular system, they can change that out, can't they? Because I think there was a point where you could actually even potentially choose more than. Oh no, that was a heroic action. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is ways they can modify it if they want to.
So they told us there's 6 universal battle tactics, and for some reason they only gave us 3 of them. I don't know why they didn't feel they could just give us all 6 of them. What have you got to hide, GW?
They're probably so unobtainable.
Yeah, but these ones seem reasonable.
Yes. I mean, the Caesar Centre's kind of like the one that the Iron Jaws got given, isn't it? It's
Yeah. 2 or more friendly units within 3 inches of the center of the battlefield and not in combat.
That's. I mean, they'd mentioned specifically in the article it's a risk doing this one, especially with the counter charge.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would have not minded it if they were in combat in the center and just had a higher control value.
Yeah, it's you've almost got to put a screen up to make sure that you got 2 other units behind that aren't in combat, really.
And I'm seeing a few of those tendencies, and it's the kind of dancing around that I really didn't like in the other battle tactics. So,
I mean, to be fair, these 3 do actually seem fairly much more obtainable for most armies to do than the current General's Handbook ones.
Yeah, so you've got take the flanks, have at least 1 friendly unit within 6 inches of each short battlefield edge. None of them wholly within friendly territory, and none of them were set up this turn.
Yeah, this is essentially an easier version of Surround and Destroy. That's one of the tactics at the minute.
Yeah.
The only thing is you only need to do it with 2 different units now, as opposed to 3.
Yes, only 2 sides of the battlefield. 3 was a bit silly because I believe one of them couldn't be your friendly one. Was that part of it, or?
Yeah, you have to have one in your, you could have one of them in your actual territory, and then the other 2 had to be outside of your territory.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, of course. Oh, my bad. I thought you couldn't pick your own board, but yeah, you are right.
It was one of those ones that we very rarely even attempted to do.
Yeah.
It was only when I had teleporting Saurus warriors that we actually did it at one point.
Yeah, and the last one's just pick a unit in the enemy's general's regiment to destroy. Which,
that sounds fairly doable. It says it's something to make you think when you're doing your regiment for your general that don't put squishy things into that into that regiment.
Yeah, definitely. I think people will. They are trying to kind of urge people into getting these kind of heavy bodyguards around their characters in this season, particularly.
I do love a battle tactic that is just pick a unit and destroy it, though, because
yeah.
There's still some thought there, but it's a lot less thinking than some other things.
I know. I really like that, but I'm not too keen on some of these ones. Yeah. Can we start with order?
Yes,
to complete this at the end of the turn, there are 1 or more friendly units wholly within each quarter of the battlefield and more than 6 inches from all enemy units. Now this one, it doesn't say you can't do it in the first turn, I guess, and you could kind of just shoot people across, but it's you've got to be in every quarter of the battlefield, so you've got to devote 4 units to this that aren't getting in combat. And they've all got to be 6 inches from all enemy units.
Yeah, again, counter charge could ruin your day with that one.
Yeah. All you've got to be charged is in one of those units. One of those units that unless they're missile troops, you've wasted an entire turn for. That's literally the thing that was wrong with the last battle tactics for me.
I
don't like it at all.
I think some order armies are probably going to have a better time of doing this than others.
Yes. Stormcast, I can see their high mobility and all that. I can't see Fire Slayers being very good at that.
Oh no, yeah, Fire Slayers are probably going to struggle with that quite a lot, really.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, again, Caradon, unless you've got a lot of boats, it's probably going to be quite hard for you.
Chaos Swan, that's all right. You pick an objective controlled by them. Now, it's a bit fiddly. You've got to charge with 2 or more friendly units. 1 or more of them's contesting the objective, and you control the objective.
Yeah.
Basically, you've got to take the objective off them with 2 units. Yeah, that's doable, I'd say.
Again, if it's an objective that's kind of like in your path, you just charge as many units as you can on there, and hopefully one of them will still be on there at the end of the turn.
I wish there was a more elegant way of putting it than having those modifiers, but they don't really modify it to a point where you're like scratching your head like, if this and this and this. Yeah. The death one.
Death one sounds great. Death one just kill something.
Yeah. Kill a non-hero unit. If you've got no non-heroes available, pick any enemy unit.
I love that it has like caveat as well. It's like, oh, well, don't worry if there's not a non-hero left.
That one, great, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I think unless Death have a really bad other Grand Alliance one, then Death looks like they've got some nice ones.
Yeah. Now, time to get struck in. I'm a bit kind of torn on, because the previous one was just get all of your units out of the deployment zone and into enemy territory, basically. Now it's you pick 3 friendly units that are not in combat and are wholly within friendly territory. You complete this if the end of your turn, each of those units is wholly outside your territory and used a fight ability this turn.
There's so many things there. It's just...
Yeah. I mean, this one, I assume this is first turn, you have 3 units you want to charge. And for my Iron Jaws, yep, that'll be fantastic. 2 units of pigs and my big pig charge first turn. I get that.
But still, it's like, you know, is Mighty Destroyers still going to be a thing to move any hero?
Yeah, well, that is
is smashing and bashing still going to be a thing, so you can actually fight straight away after one? There's so many caveats, because like literally you fight with one and then the next unit just gets killed. It's like, oh
yeah. There's a lot of things that could go wrong with just the way it's written, and I like it, and I feel like my Iron Jaws could easily achieve that if, you know, barring any major disasters. But Iron Jaws aren't the only destruction army.
Yeah.
Some of those other ones would maybe. Like I said, the areas
Giants are probably going to enjoy that one quite nicely.
They haven't really kind of fully laid out how deployment is going to work, so we don't know what the starting distance between you and the opponent's going to be. I think it's at least 12 inches, which some of those armies, they're going to struggle to get off a charge. First turn.
I think a troll-heavy Gloomspite Gitz army is going to struggle with it, because unless they get high charges, they haven't exactly got the movement to get across.
If I didn't have the pigs in my Iron Jaws, there's no way they'd do that.
But yeah, I'd say like Sons of Behemoth, I think they're laughing with that one. Like,
oh yeah,
they'll do that no problem.
Oh, definitely. That's what you want to happen in a first turn, basically.
Just do as much damage as possible.
Yep.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what all of the secondary Grand Alliance battle tactics are.
Yeah. I wish just like GW could have just kept it simple. Some of these ones are absolutely great, like destroy a unit. Be within 3 inches of the center of the battlefield, although obviously we had caveats about that. This is all we really need for the battle tactics. You don't need a massive dance where you need to get 4 units running off to like 4 corners of the board and being 6 inches away from enemy units and hoping your opponent doesn't charge you. That's just ridiculous.
Because that led into the Maelstrom one at the minute, where it's like charge a hero and a battle line unit, and then one of them has to be remaining in combat by the end of the turn still. I think that's probably less complicated than that destruction one still. And that one's still a bit iffy to get off.
Like I say, I'm going to really enjoy this time to get stuck in with my Iron Jaws, but other destruction players probably won't as much.
I say if you're running troop slogging Iron Jaws, then it's not going to be that nice. Was it like a 4-inch move most of like the armored ones have? Like.
I'm wondering, like, Chaos, immediately, like, when I thought of Ordained Charge, I went, in my head, I was picturing, like, Chaos Knights, like Varangard and stuff doing that. How is that going to apply to, I don't know, stuff like Skaven and stuff that might have more models but have less good at controlling objectives? Interesting.
Well, I imagine Skaven, I don't know, because they're probably going to be able to control the objective with sheer numbers, but it is whether they survive any counterattack. Nurgle, it's going to be, obviously they're going to make the charge in. Orn definitely want to have made the charge at all times.
I'm going to bring those rotflies. And, So anyway, that's the rules we've seen so far. I think we can say last week was all positive, I thought. This week has been a bit of a mixed bag for me.
I mean, yeah, we need to see the other 3 non-specific battle tactics, and we need to see the extra Grand Alliance battle tactics. It definitely seems like they're trying to make it difficult to get the full 50 points, I think.
Yes, I can see that. I mean, out of the stuff we've seen last week, the Warlock Engineer, great. Love the War Scroll, love the model. Battle Packs and Battle Plans all seem pretty solid. There's a bit more clarification we need to have on them. But Battle Tactics are the one thing that I really struggled with in Age of Sigmar 3.0. And it looks... I'm not hopeful now that they won't be as annoying a thing.
Positives I'm going to say for battle tactics though is at least it doesn't seem like they've made battle tactics that have to specifically use one exact type of unit.
Yes, that is a massive positive, because the whole thing of like you need your Andorian Locus or you need your what were the veterans again?
Oh god,
Gurish veterans or whatever.
Yeah.
It is nice that they don't rely on that, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm thankful that there isn't like kind of faction specific ones yet. I can imagine when books start coming out, they'll give factions their own ones again. But but yeah, at the minute, some faction ones are just like, well, this model we desperately want to sell some more of. So the battle tactic's going to be, you have to have this specific unit, like, do this.
Yes, very much so. So, I mean, I hope they can avoid that where possible, but obviously, you know, sometimes good, sometimes bad. I think we've had a fairly good, you know, it's been more on the side of good than bad overall. So I'm definitely looking forward to playing the new rules.
Ooh, not long now.
A couple of weeks.
And I am. The second it goes up for pre-order, I'm going to try and get the launch box just so we've got a general's handbook.
Nice.
Oh dear.
Well, any more points?
Oh god, what was I going to say now? There was something completely gone in my mind.
Well, this is Bleeding Tree Gaming. We forget what we're talking about constantly.
I didn't think it would happen to me, but it's
You've joined, and now you will gain the memory loss. Right then. Well, thank you very much for listening. Obviously, we'll keep you updated with more stuff on Age of Sigmar 4.0 as it emerges. We've been Bleeding Tree Gaming. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.